You are Locked On Marlins POSTCAST. Part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, Fish fans? Welcome to your Locked On Marlins POSTCAST. My name is Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries, and oh, so close to the sweep today for the Miami Marlins, but it wasn't to be. They were playing with house money. They had beaten the mighty Baltimore Orioles ahead of the Yankees in the AL East with the best record in the American League 2 times in a row. The Orioles averaged 6 runs a game. They had 1 extra base hit this series coming into today. The Marlins had been scoring 6 runs a game in the 2 games leading up to this afternoon. All that led to the possibility of a sweep. What happened? They lost 7-6, but man, it was close. The Orioles jumped out to a 6-0 lead. The Marlins came all the way back to tie it in the bottom of the 9th. And if it had not been for a magnificent defensive play in center field, they would have won it on a walk-off in the bottom of the 9th. And it was Josh Bell who hit the ball. But nonetheless, they tied it up. The Orioles won it in 10. They still win the series 2-1. And lots of things to build and grow on for your Miami Marlins. It's your Locked On Marlins POSTCAST. Jim Grieshaber, call me Gries. And it starts right now. First things first, I want to thank you for making Locked On Marlins POSTCAST a part of your day every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. I'm talking Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, Apple, iHeart, you name it. You got it with us on the audio side, plus YouTube, Locked On Sports Miami, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And, of course, we have the Dolphins, the Heat, University of Miami football, all those postcasts along with the daily shows coming your way when the season starts. Camp underway. Can't wait. Today's episode of Locked On Marlins POSTCAST is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yes. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay. Today is the greatest. But what a series for the Marlins. Look, they fell behind 6-0 today. 6-0 after 4 innings, man. It was literally 5-zip at the end of 3. You won 2 games already. It's a getaway game. It's early, noontime start, and you're just like, man, all right, they won the first 2, and maybe they just go through the motions the rest of the way, but not this team, not your Miami Marlins. They chip, 1 in the 6th, 2 in the 8th, and 3 in the 9th. 5 runs in the last 2 innings. They've been doing it all year. They love to score late. They win games late. They have the most walk-off wins in Major League Baseball, and they came this close. Can you imagine finishing off a 3-game sweep over the best team in the American League, record-wise, with a walk-off in the bottom of the 9th inning after a 6-run deficit? They came this close. This close. I still think I would have sent Jazz. I would have sent him. Make them make a play at the plate, like the Orioles did in the 10th, and for that matter, the Marlins made the play. But early on, the Orioles got it going, and, you just didn't think the Marlins were going to be in this game, right? You just didn't think they had much of a shot after the start of this game. And when you think about what happened in this ball game and the way that this game went from start to finish, there's the play-by-play right there. And it was really legitimately, Roddery Munoz was not bad. I mean, his line is way worse than the way that he pitched in this game. And you hate to even say that. He got smoked. Fauché got the loss, with that said, because they came back and tied it. But Munoz, 5 innings, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 3 home runs allowed. When a starting pitcher gives up 3 home runs, you're never going to win that game. Hardly ever. Very, very rarely. But you had the 94-mile-an-hour sinker for Munoz throwing filth, man, reminding you of Kevin Brown. The 4-seamers right at 95, the cutters at 91. And on the homer to Santander, it was a 90-mile-an-hour changeup that it just kind of flopped up there, right? And he didn't even throw any breaking balls in that first inning, just the hard stuff. Cutter, 4-seam, sinker. But, look, Santander, 28 home runs, tied for the team lead, 67 RBIs. You know that you can't make a mistake to him. You paid for that. It's 1-0, no big deal. The Marlins come up in the first inning. You're going against a 10-win pitcher. Edwards with a 1-out single. Like seeing Xavier Edwards in the 2 spot, after the way he's been hitting. 3 hits yesterday. Bell strikes out swinging, and then De La Cruz is out. So they don't get any run. They don't answer back in the bottom of the first. Orioles in the top of the second. McCann with an RBI single. They go up 2-zip. Marlins in the bottom of the second, nothing doing, 1-2-3. And then in the third inning, they always kill you, don't they? They always kill you. Walks every time, and this has been a big problem for the Marlins pitchers this year. Not enough strikeouts, way too many walks. Cowser, who's killed him in this series, homers to straightaway center field. O'Hearn and Mountcastle come in. It's 5-0 Orioles, and the walk comes home to score. Marlins go 1-2-3 in the third. Fourth inning comes, Norby homers, and it's 6-0 Baltimore. 6-0. And it stayed like that for a while. You know, Corbin's dealing out there, and you got the bottom of the sixth inning for Miami. 2 outs, and Bell homers, makes it 6-1. Second home run in 2 days for Josh Bell. He's on a roll right now. He's hot. It's about time. You know, it hasn't happened many times this season. Bottom of the seventh, nothing doing. Orioles in the eighth, nothing. Marlins come up in the bottom of the eighth, and here's when the game got really interesting. They scored 5 runs in the final 2 innings. It was 6-0, right, when Bell homered, made it 6-1. So here's the bottom of the eighth. Fortes leads off with a single. Chisholm with a sacrifice. Fortes goes to second. 1 down, runner on second base. 1 down, runner on second base, right? So then Edwards reaches on an infield single, and Fortes scores, all right? Like, Fortes is on second base, takes off on contact, ends up scoring on the play. It was great base running by him. One of the many reasons you love this team. So much pressure they put. Bell strikes out for the second time of the game. Could have used a hit from him there. And then De La Cruz with a 2-out clutch double scores Edwards, makes it 6-3. Orioles in the ninth. Hayes with a leadoff single. Infield single by Norby. Chargois in trouble, but McCann lines into a double play. Hayes gets doubled off second. Henderson singles. Norby goes to second, and Westbrook flies to left. So 3 hits allowed by Chargois, and yeah, they don't let a run come around to score, which was dope, right? And then in the bottom of the ninth, it really got interesting. Kimbrell's in the game. Lopez grounds to third. Gordon pinch hits, reaches on an infield single to second base. Brujan walks. Gordon goes to second. So it's first and second, and the tying runs at the plate, Jake Berger. Oh, baby, come on, Jake, let's go. He walks. Bases loaded for Gordon, right? Error by Henderson on a grounder. It was to the right side of second, if you're looking at out from the batter's box, and he just bobbled it. Bad game for Henderson, caught in a rundown and the error. Burgers to second, Brujan to third. Of course, Gordon scores. Chisholm safe on the error. Bases loaded, still 1 out, 1 run in. It's 6-4. Edwards, sacrifice fly to left, Brujan scores. Brujan scores. So it's first and second. Berger scores on the hit by Bell. It's right in the gap. Chisholm running from first on the play. It's a bullet in the gap, and it looks like Chisholm's going to score from first. But then the way that they had him shaded with Cowser, he gets to the right center field gap, cuts it off. And Chisholm barreling around third has to just, he stopped and he came back and he dove in. I think he could have made it. It was going to be a close call. And then Jazz is on third. And Bell goes to second, indifference, second and third. It didn't matter anyway. The game's already tied, and a hit wins the game. All you're doing there by taking second base if you're Bell is taking away a force, which was brilliant, right? But then De La Cruz strikes out swinging. It's 6-6. You go to the 10th. Fauche's pitching for Miami. Santander singles to left. Westberg goes to third. He was the ghost runner, the pinch runner, whatever. O'Hearn strikes out. Mountcastle singles to right. And the king of the castle is crowned. And there you see it on the rundown over there. Then in the bottom of the 10th, guy on second base to start for the Marlins. Why? Oh, why? Oh, why? Why? Runner on second to start the inning. No bunt. Sanchez strikes out looking. No bunt. Lopez grounds out to third. 2 outs, and he goes to third. Sanchez does, the runner, on a wild pitch. Gordon strikes out swinging. Game over. 2 strikeouts and a ground out. You start the inning with a runner on second. There is not a hitter on this team. There's not a hitter on this team who's good enough to not bunt in that situation, Skip. There's not a hitter on that team who's good enough of a hitter to not bunt. Jesus Sanchez, you want to build the confidence. You like him as a hitter. He's got a ton of talent. Okay, with nobody out, let the kid swing away. But not Lopez. You say you don't want to sacrifice and give up the second out. I understand that. You had a sacrifice with Sanchez there. I know you want to build his confidence. He's not the best bunter. You have to play the percentages in baseball. There's not a hitter good enough on this team. How many times have you seen Jazz, Berger, and Bell come up with first base open, runners on second and third, or just a runner on second, and they don't even walk them? There's nobody on this team who garners that respect, who instills that fear. Bunt the dang ball, get him over to third, wild pitch scores him, and you're still maybe playing. It's that simple. You had a chance to steal one today after falling behind 6-0. You had a chance to steal a series. And I'm talking about a sweep of a series against the best team in the American League. They beat the Orioles in a series. They've beaten the Brewers in the series. They've beaten the Diamondbacks in a series. They've split with the Phillies. They play the good teams well. They should have won this game in the ninth. And I still think they should have sent Jazz. But very, very close. And when you're down 6-0, coming back, the way the bullpen pitched, Munoz got ripped. There's no two ways about it. But, man, that was a good comeback for Miami. And you really feel like they were this close to grabbing that win. It's your Locked On Marlins postcast. Jim Grieshaber, call me Gries, here on your, I almost said Sunday because it's such an early day and an early show, but an awesome, awesome performance by the Marlins to come back today. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk more about that comeback, talk about Josh Bell starting to heat up, talk about that one missing piece in the middle of the lineup, and of course, we're going to continue to stand on the soapbox and beat the drums. No trade zone for the Miami Marlins. You're watching the Locked On Marlins postcast, Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jim Grieshaber, call me Gries. We'll continue it right after these words. I don't know how many of you are skilled tradesmen. I like to consider myself a skilled tradesman, right? Broadcasting, it's a trade, but I'm talking about the skilled trades, the guys and girls who make the world go round, and you can get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades right at home for you at supplyhouse.com. It's the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online at Supply House. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. You shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. You need help with an order? No problemo. Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business. Talk to a real person every time, too. You can't beat that. Pros in the skills trade's going to earn a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free TradeMaster program. Every TradeMaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. That's right. Game Time makes it easy for you to get tickets. I'm going to just say it very simply. It's baseball season. You're traveling the country. You're going to stadiums, and that's how I grew up. My dad brought me so many places from our home in the Northeast in Connecticut. Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, Pirates, Phillies, you name it, Orioles. We went to Montreal to see the Expos, and there were no Nationals back then, but you name it, we went there, and my dad took me all over the country. We had to get the tickets in advance. It was so different back then. You didn't know what your seats were going to look like. You just showed up, and you hoped it wasn't obstructed like Fenway Park. You could sit behind a beam, for God's sakes. Only the Red Sox would build a stadium where you'd be sitting behind a beam trying to watch a baseball game. But so many memories, so many things to do, fond memories to create for a lifetime. When you travel and you go to Major League Baseball games, and even in your home city, check it out, right? You go to the Game Time app, you browse through the app, and you realize all the things that Game Time provides for you as a customer, right? Game Time is the best way to get tickets for any event: comedy, concerts, theater, and of course, our favorite, sports. Last minute deals, you can save up to 60% when you're buying last minute with Game Time. Flash deals, save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event. You can get deals on a particular zone within a stadium. You pick the zone, they pick the actual seats. All-in pricings, you toggle that feature. It shows you everything up front, no surprises at checkout. You get panoramic views from your seat that you're looking at to potentially buy in the app before you purchase it. You get a lowest price guarantee, 110% of the difference coming back your way from Game Time if you can find those tickets anywhere cheaper. Plus, your purchase is covered with the most flexible service policy in the ticketing industry for you, the customer. So all that adds up to one thing for you. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed with Game Time. Man, I love it, love it, love it, man. I tell you what, all the times going to games as a kid, and you had to wait for the tickets to come in the mail. You walk up to the box office the day of and you realize it's sold out, or you can't get any of the seats you want. You don't know where they are. It used to be a completely different experience. And you know what else used to be a completely different experience? 24/7 sports coverage. Now it's so different. Why? Because Locked On Sports Today is here. If you're watching ESPN, you're watching Fox, you got to turn down the volume with all that shouting. Oh man, I got a headache. Give me an 800 milligram ibuprofen, or let me make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you and me and you and you and you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. As we continue to roll around with your Locked On Marlins postcast, roll along. Roll around, why not? We can roll around. We're having fun, right? It's fun when you come from behind a 6-run deficit against one of the better teams in baseball, maybe the best team in baseball. It's fun when you beat them 2 games in a row. You're playing with house money. It's like you're at Seminole Hard Rock, just throwing it around. Or even better, you're on FanDuel and you're up like 6 parlays, and no matter what you do, you can't blow it. You're playing with house money. You won the first 2 games. You scored 12 runs. You had big at-bats from Bell. You scored 6 runs per game. You held the Orioles to 1 extra base hit in 2 games, way below their scoring average. And they didn't lose anything because the Mets beat the Yankees 2 days in a row. It was unbelievable for the Marlins. Had they put the cherry on the top of the sundae today, had they been able, had Jazz Chisholm not been held up at third, falling on the ground and scrambling, diving back to the bag when all his momentum was taking him toward the dish, like Counsell in 97, come on, go! But he didn't make it. He busted butt back to third, dove back in, and safely tucked away, and Gordon struck out. Commissioner Gordon. Man, Gordon's had a bad year. Bell turning around, he did strike out twice today. But 3 dingers for the O's, and that was big. Roderick Munoz didn't help the Marlins at all today. A lot of Baltimore just busted out the whooping sticks early and often in this game. The 3-run shot was a big one from Cowser. He was huge in this series. And how about 5 for 10 in the series for Mountcastle, king of the castle. Second 2-hit game of the series, 5 for 10 in the series. He actually had 3 hits in today's game, didn't he? Let me see. Mountcastle, 3 for 5. And then you had the 3-run homer from Cowser. Santander got it started in the first inning with the jack. You're down 6-0 before you even score. Did they even have any hits yet? I'm trying to remember. They had a couple. Let's see. Marlins bottom of the first. Yeah, Edwards had a single in the bottom of the first. I like Edwards in a 2-hole. They got a lot of pieces between Edwards and Myers, who's out. Chisholm's killing it. DLC. Jesus Sanchez. Fortes and A. Sanchez. Annabelle back there. I said Annabelle again. I'll be okay. I will be okay. You're watching your Locked On Marlins postcast. Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries. Part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. 7-6. The Orioles score 1 in the 10th inning to beat the Marlins, but they made them earn it. They scored 6 runs in the first 4 innings and none the rest of the way. This Miami bullpen has been absolutely so great all year long. 3 innings today for Cronin. Just 1 hit and 2 strikeouts, 31 pitches. What a job by him. Declan Cronin. Chargois, 3 hits in an inning, somehow didn't give a run. Fauché, 2 hits, gave up the run in the 10th. Just, unfortunately. They struck out 6 Orioles, only walked 2 of them today. Marlins struck out 10 more times. They strike out a lot. Bell twice. Berger was a pinch hitter today. Drew a walk. Sanchez struck out twice and Bell struck out twice. The guy struck out twice. He's 0 for 4 at the time. Come on, Skip. Runner on second to start the 10th inning. The guy struck out twice. He's 0 for 4. He's a 245 hitter. Bunt the dang ball. Runner on third, 1 out. Sacrifice fly, wild pitch, ground out to the middle infielders. Anything can happen when there's a runner on third with less than 2 outs. You didn't even give yourself a chance. You let an 0 for 4 kid with 2 strikeouts swing the bat. His choice. That's why he's the manager, and I'm not. You're not. Bad choice, if you ask me. Easy, in retrospect, to call him that. I mean, look, Sanchez gets a hit there, and it's not a bad choice. And then again, holding Jazz up. You made so many plays to stay in this game. You made so many plays to get back in the game. And then you just let it squander itself away. You're watching your Locked On Marlins postcast. Jim Grieshaber, call me Gries. You see it right there, at Jim Gries _ doing big things with the Locked On Marlins postcast. Heading into football season, Locked On Dolphins postcast, Locked On the University of Miami Hurricanes football postcast. Every single game, right after the game, we come to you live. Right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, on Locked On Sports Miami, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. We have Locked On Canes with Alex Dono. We have Locked On Dolphins. Locked On Dolphins is awesome. Locked On Marlins, of course. Locked On Heat. We'll have the postcast for the Heat. All right here on Locked On Sports Miami. We have Locked On Sports Today. We have Locked On MLB, NFL, NBA. Oh, man, soon to be a lot more. We're coming to you in the community. So many things brewing here at the Locked On Podcast Network. We'll step aside, hit the last break of the day, and wrap up the show. On the other side, the O's found their power. The Fish won the series, couldn't get the sweep. What is coming up on the other side for the Marlins? Some big ones coming your way for Miami. You got a road trip coming up. They'll be in Milwaukee, in Tampa Bay, and at Atlanta. What do they have to do? 9 games away from home. Coming off a sweep, the momentum will be huge, but 9 games. And you got the Brewers, who you took 2 out of 3 from when they came in here, thinking about revenge. Then you got the Rays, who have won 23 out of 26 from you. And then, yeah, you got the Atlanta Braves. And by the way, the Atlanta Braves, in second place in the National League Eastern Division, they've lost 4 in a row, and you won't see them for a few days, so maybe they'll get things turned around by then. But obviously the Braves in a position right now where they're 9 games behind the Phillies. They'll be fighting for that wild card with the Cardinals, with the Diamondbacks, with the Padres, all kinds of teams there. So we will be here every step of the way on that road trip. A 9-gamer starting tomorrow in Milwaukee. You're watching Locked On Marlins postcast. Jim Grieshaber, call me Gries. About to wrap it up in just a minute on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode of Locked On Marlins Postcast is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. And I realize I'm looking at the camera that I'm normally looking at that isn't on right now. There we go. I don't want to be above you here, right here, eye to eye. When I tell you about Booking.com, Booking.yeah, with summer travel heating up. And you know it is heating up, and you know that it is the time of year when everybody's traveling. Delays notwithstanding, right? But you got to go to some baseball games this summer, and it's time to explore those U.S. cities you secretly wanted to learn more about but didn't want to tell anybody. That's right, we're talking about your rival cities with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com. You might find just your perfect stay even in your baseball rival city. I've done it all through the years, right? There's nothing better than wearing that Yankee jersey to Fenway Park when your team's winning that game. Nothing better than putting on the teal, putting on the blue, put on the orange, and then you head on out to Washington, D.C. Sure, you can see the monuments. You might even hear a few lies from some politicians. Get that real authentic D.C. experience along the way. Get your own version of D.C. Drano. Drain yourself out of D.C. when the Marlins leave. Then you can go to New York and see the Mets. You get all that good food, the culture, the history there. No place like New York in the summertime. And then Philly and Atlanta, just in your own division. Those are 4 of the greatest cities in America. Never mind that they go to L.A., San Fran, and Arizona, Phoenix, every year. So many great places to travel with your team, the Miami Marlins. You want to catch games in your opponent's cities? You know what I'm saying? Booking.com makes it easy for you. From hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travels this MLB season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app for Booking.com. Booking.yeah. Locked On Marlins Postcast is also brought to you in part by Prize Picks. I love Prize Picks. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, and just that alone makes it awesome. They have over 5 million active members. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, and this is very important to realize, with Prize Picks, unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers, right? So that means all you have to do is pick more or pick less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends. Become a part of the Prize Picks community today. You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks. With as little as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000. Get in on the excitement and win up to 100 extra cash with the summer games on Prize Picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 while watching Team USA rack up the gold this summer. You can make a Prize Picks lineup while watching Team USA. Yeah, basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, and more. In as little as 60 seconds, you can set the lineup. Just pick more or pick less on 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and you are locked in with Locked On and Prize Picks. And if you're looking for promotions, look no further. Prize Picks has got you covered every week, from lowering select player stat projections on Tuesdays to helping your lineup hit or getting your entry fees back if you're having a losing lineup on Fridays. No problemo there. Prize Picks also available in more than 30 states around the country: Cali, Texas, Georgia, and more. So all you have to do to get in on the action and get that opportunity to turn 10 into 1,000, download the Prize Picks app today. Very simple, right? Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. All right, and before we wrap it up, I want to remind you one more time about what has become one of my favorite destinations, if not my favorite. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. I'm talking about Locked On Sports Today. I'm talking about 24/7 coverage of the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. One more time, thank you for making Locked On Marlins Postcast your first listen today. We're free, available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. As we're wrapping up your Locked On Marlins Postcast, Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries. Been a fun show here today, a fun series this weekend. The Marlins and the Orioles of B-More, the first place team in the American League Eastern Division, and they came in here and the Marlins gave them fits. The Marlins almost swept them. They literally had to squeak one out in the 10th inning to leave here with a win after Miami hung 12 on them in the first 2 games and 6 in the last. So 18 runs in 3 games against this team. What a performance. And the Orioles are still 2 games ahead of the Yankees, who play today as well. But it's interesting. And the Yankees and Mets finished up that series. I think it was just a couple of games there. But where are we at here? Looking at the full scoreboard, I was trying to figure out where the Orioles are going to be in first place regardless, right? And the Yanks have the day off today. So you're talking about a weekend series coming up in Boston against the Sox. Yeah, there you have it, Yankees-Sox over the weekend. And, of course, the Marlins go to Milwaukee to play the first-place Brewers. And that's not going to be an easy task by any means. And you think about the Orioles and the Marlins. That was a good series. They score 6 times unanswered to come back, 3 in the bottom of the 9th after 2 in the bottom of the 8th. It would have been so perfect if I say send Jazz. You don't bunt him over in the 10th. You got a runner on second. Sanchez is 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. You don't bunt him over. That should never have happened. You send Jazz Chisholm on Bell's ball. You give Cowser credit for cutting it off in the gap of right center. Josh Bell's bullet. But, man, oh, man, that was a tough one. And they should have swept this series, but they won 2 out of 3, and they put every bit of heat on the Orioles that Baltimore could handle. And, tough one, just to squeak one out before they leave. They're in Milwaukee tomorrow. Trevor Rogers for the Marlins 1-9 with a 4.59. He's not going to be in the rotation that much longer. You'll have Luzardo and Weathers coming back sooner rather than later. You got Meyer ready to go. Alcantara will be next year. We talk about the bullpen and Tanner Scott and company every day. No trade zone for anybody in that starting, on the pitching staff. How about that? Just the pitching staff in general, no trades. And then you got Jazz balling out right now. DLC not playing so well. Maybe you could trade him, but showcasing Jazz playing second, making diving catches all over the place today in center field. And you hope that they keep him here. He's a heck of a ball player. You've already traded a Gries. If you'd have kept a Gries and then you had Chisholm here and you kept him and you kept everybody here and you added one big bat in the middle of the lineup like Soler last year, that's where you'd be a playoff team in my mind next year. Maybe even in a division with the Phillies and the Braves. Anything but a division title, right? But they could be that wild card that gets hot at the end. So Trevor Rogers, 1-9 with a 4.59, and Freddie Peralta for Milwaukee, who's 6-5 with a 3.88. Miami plus 180, the Brewers minus 215, the total 7.5, the over minus 115, the under is minus 105. It will be played at American Family Field. First pitch, 8:10 p.m. Eastern. It's supposed to be 81 degrees in Milwaukee at game time. That's all there is, Fish fans. There is no more. Your Locked On Marlins postcast on your Sunday. What a Sunday it was in Miami. The Marlins giving you every bit that you can handle for your entertainment dollar. They come back from a 6-0 deficit, score 5 times in the final 2 innings, and they almost score the winning run in the bottom of the ninth. They held Jazz Chisholm up on third base on Josh Bell's single that was cut off in the gap. Could have been a double, and they don't end up winning the game. The Orioles score 1 in the top of the 10th to squeeze 1 away. They're 2-1 against the Brewers on the season, headed to Milwaukee, and we will be here with your Locked On Marlins postcast right after the game, probably somewhere around 10:30 Eastern time tomorrow night. Until then, I am Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries, and I'm still looking at the other camera. I appreciate you being here with me today. Locked On Marlins postcast, we're free. Wherever you get your podcasts, we're available, and on YouTube. Locked On Sports Miami, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks to Booking.com, Booking.yeah, for being the title sponsor of today's show, as well as Supply House, Game Time, and Prize Picks. Most of all, thanks to you for being here every dayers. Special place in my heart and finding us day by day. Keep on coming back for more of your Locked On Marlins postcast with me, Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries. Keep your game tight and your mind right, Fish fans. We are out.